We're looking at ICT in Nigeria, looking at the need to develop that sector, particularly at the time we're having the oil price in the international market go down, and as we all know, that happens to be Nigeria's major source of revenue. And right now, the federal government seems to be looking for ways to earn more money, and non-oil sector happens to be, well, the answer. And of course, ICT is another sector that should be looked into. And I have here with me in the studio, well, the man a lot of people describe as the Oracle himself. He is the former president of the Institute of Software Practitioners of Nigeria, Dr. Chris Uwaje. Good morning. Thank you very much, Dr. Uwaje. To have you on the program once again.
It's always a pleasure coming to channels, especially to discuss this very volatile.
And I know you are so very passionate about it.
You can say that again. Yeah.
Right. Well, we have seen the oil market take perhaps a new dimension. We've seen the continuous drop, and everybody believes that government, of course, needs to look elsewhere. Government itself sees the need to actually look elsewhere. What potential do the ICT sector have, to perhaps be an alternative for oil?
Thank you. In fact, when the RDA transformation agenda came into play or was put on the table as a platform for development, we thought that the message was really directed to the innovation industry, which is ICT. You cannot consume and develop anyway. We are a consumer nation, and even within the ICT environment, Nigeria is becoming a sort of a telecoms nation. We need to really do a rethink and see how we become an innovative and creative nation, and that is what sets all nations apart. The small-scale industries, of course, which Fidelity Bank had a start-off conference yesterday, is the best way to go. In Europe, you have about 96% of the economy being driven by small-scale industry, and those small-scale industries are what innovates. And ICT has now become the center of gravity of life, not just about the economy. Anything you do today or in the future has an integral part of ICT, and that's why it is being called on for the new generations. They say they are always on. Our generations were trying to log in, but the new generation is always on. So it is a creative world. It is an innovative world. You cannot compete without innovating. You have what they call the two big C's in the basket of economic revenue. Okay? The first C is the consumer. The consumers put it into the revenue basket of the world. The second C, which of course is C squared, is the creative people. The creative class take what the consumers contribute to the market. That is the equation. So if you want to consume as a nation, automatically the source of your consumption, your crude oil, will dry up. Then what next? We are saying we need to build knowledge parks in this country. We need to develop science and technology parks. We need to empower education. We are using billions for education that is outsourced to England, to the US, to Australia, and whatever. We are using billions of dollars to pay for health tourism to India. These are creative class, and all these things are only being empowered by ICT. Software is the blood that flows through modern economy. Now unless you groom it.
Yeah, that brings to question, well, we're talking about local content now. Exactly. I wonder what the level of local content, because that seemed to be one of the issues some of those the entrepreneurs in this sector complain about. I mean, people who perhaps may need the services of this ICT prefer to get it from outside. What's the local content level in the ICT sector?
Thank you very much. I think this has become a very controversial issue, and this controversy borders on tepid ignorance. How can you adjust something that you've not tested? To the entrepreneurs who say foreign softwares are better, you must have tested something before you can do comparison. The Chinese adage says, don't see one and judge two. You need to test both sides to be able to do comparison. And this issue of ignorance in certification, oh, these people are certified. No software is certified in the world, and you can quote me. it is industries that are certified. The cooperatives that create the software that are certified. Word from Microsoft that is used world over is not certified by anybody. It is a product that is deployed in the market, and market users say this is good, and they continue to use it. But Microsoft has become a pioneer in that industry. Excel, most of them that you see, are not certified. They follow a process, standardization within the corporate entity, just like ISO, to be able to come up with world-class products, as it were. So Nigerian software are using the same tools as other people are using. What are the missing links? The missing links is that our enterprises are so miniaturized that they cannot compete with other people. Nigerian companies has about 30 to 50 average workers, and they are competing with 3,000 workers in India. The time to market fails them, and they cannot compete. So what we are saying, let us create a cluster, because we have about 80,000 science students that are waiting to be employed. Where are they going to find job if local softwares are not being used? The Local Content has now created a platform, the Local Content Act of 2010, though directed to the oil and gas, where the chunk of our revenues comes into. And it said almost anything that is done in the oil industry that Nigerians have capability to do must be, given to them on the first call. So it is now our own challenge to build the commensurate capacities and capability to be able to ensure that we can gauge this local content thing. But above all, I think government need to intervene, especially in the software and the ICT industry, just like they did in the bank, collapsing 187 banks into 25. We are too fragile and miniaturized to compete. Government should some incentive on the table that can bring people to bear to collapse, say, about 10 companies into one. Then we can develop the capability that everybody is talking about to be able to ensure. But mind you, there are Nigerian software that are also being used around the world. Neptune software is one of them. System Spec software is one of them. And there are other software also that have been deployed both locally and internationally. So this issue of controversy that say, oh, local softwares are not it, very, very naive and wrong. Yeah.
You talked about incentives. Before I go to the specifics, what kind of incentives are you talking about here that government should actually provide? You also mentioned the issue of building cluster. Yeah. Now, when you build this cluster, is that going to help in terms of achieving the ecosystem that is actually needed in this sector?
Sure. I think we can give examples of clusters at its well, but that have been built by private sector. One of them is Otigba, the computer village. Okay, Alaba is a cluster where when you need electronics, you go to Alaba, right? When you need computers, you go to Otigba. West Africans even have that address as the first signature in West Africa. What we are saying is that you need an incentive to now say, hey, we want to build a competitive economy, and we want to start with innovation. Then we create an innovation platform, which is a pack, innovative pack, where software, creativity, research are clustering. And we now say, if you come to this pack, the incentive is that you are tax exempt for the next 5 years. Okay? Okay. You'll be registered, your and whatever. So when you lodge into that pack, automatically you don't pay tax. All what you do, you pay facility rent, what is existing. Okay? It's existing in Canada, it's existing in India. In fact, Infosys alone has built a lot of knowledge packs and software packs in Manso, almost 100,000 capacity that are in the pack. So what we are saying is that you cannot compete until you've done what other competitors have done and surpassed them. It's just a simple equation. The kids that are coming from this generation in Nigeria needs that enabling environment. They need this pack, the knowledge pack, to be able to compete. So that is what we are saying. And of course, the Honorable Minister, Dr. Mobala Johnson, recognizes this, and she is doing all her best to ensure that at least we can move forward in the innovation platform.